Welcome to Clout 941. I'm the host, Ron Filipkowski. This is the only live television show on local politics and issues. And our guest tonight is Ray Pilon, who is running for state representative. I think it's District 68, if I'm not mistaken.
69.
69, District 69. He's going to be our guest, but first the news, of course. Lots of news this week. Charlie Crist has jumped into the Senate race, as we predicted on this show 4 months ago that he would do. And it looks like his opponent is former Speaker of the House Marco Rubio. I hosted Mr. Rubio last Wednesday at my club. We had about 150 people there, a lot of good questions. He's a very dynamic speaker, energetic, and is definitely going to give Crist a run for his money, at least on the campaign trail, with energy, enthusiasm, although it's clear that the governor is going to bury Mr. Rubio in money and endorsements and the like. This is a Republican primary, though, which means that Democrats and independents who are very supportive of the governor will not be able to vote in this election, and that's what Rubio sees as Crist's Achilles heel. And then the governor race is also shaping up. It looks like it's going to be Alex Sink against Attorney General Bill McCollum. McCollum and Sink have already both formally announced, and that's going to be an interesting race. I'll tell you this now. I bang on the Herald Tribune editorial page on a regular basis with good reason. I'll tell you why. They're not going to make their endorsement in the governor race for over a year from right now. But I'm going to tell you right now, I will bet my house against any viewer's house. One house to house, we'll bet it. I will take Alex Sink for the Herald Tribune's endorsement in the governor race. I would bet my house that they will endorse Alex Sink. And I don't care who the Republicans put up or who the nominee is. And once again, that will show what a sham their endorsement process really is, because it is a sham. The pick's already in, it's done, it's over. But we'll have to wait for their alleged suspense. Now, Jim Greer has already fired a broadside at Alex Sink. Jim Greer is the chairman of the Republican Party of Florida. He said that Alex Sink is partly responsible for the economy going in the tank. Alex Sink is a banker. As a Nations Bank representative, Greer has sent out a press release saying that Nations Bank laid off 6,000 people in Florida, and it's partially her responsibility that that has happened. So Jim Greer has been on the attack. He accused her of engaging in some subprime predatory lending. Nevertheless, we think that it's going to be a messy race. It's going to be a tough race. It's going to be pretty bare-knuckled. So we'll see what happens in the governor race. Now, the Orioles deal definitely finally dead. The main opponents to this deal have been County Commissioners John Thaxton and Joe Barbetta, and pretty much the City Commission walked away from the deal a long time ago and wanted nothing to do with it. Baseball looks like it's finally dead, which is not necessarily a positive thing for people in Sarasota. Other news, for the first time ever in U.S. history, a majority of Americans identify themselves as pro-life. 51%, first time in the history of the Gallup poll, majority of Americans say that they're pro-life. In my view, the reasons for this shift has been, first of all, medical technology. People have the ability to see embryos, to see children in the womb at a very young age, only a few months into the pregnancy, and that has caused somewhat of a shift as to what is and is not an unborn child. And I think also the pro-choice groups have been pretty secure with where the Supreme Court is at, and have been somewhat lax on their PR. But anyway, that's a pretty historic moment in American history. And finally, in the news, two heavyweights in Manatee County politics have unusually going at it. Joe McClash, County Commissioner, and Pat Neal are fighting over the Fort Hamer Bridge, which Pat Neal has a parcel of property out near the Port Manatee that the county wants. He's offered to trade them that parcel of property in exchange for the bridge, and he wants to charge a toll for people to go across the bridge. It's in East Manatee County. Joe McClash has come out very strong against Pat Neal. Manatee County politics is pretty good, old boy. Everybody's pretty wired and tight together. It's very rare for a couple of heavyweights to go at it so publicly like they have. It'll be interesting to watch how that plays out. And now our guest tonight, State Representative Ray Pilon. Ray, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for electing me already, Ron. That's great. Just call me state representative. That's a good positive note. I can tell you right there.
Sorry, candidate, I should say.
Thank you.
Candidate.
Thank you.
All
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
I'm rattled by all that news. You know,
oh, well, that was some great news.
Okay, Ray, tell us a little bit about your background, not in politics yet, but your background just career-wise.
Well, career-wise, it's all been public service. My wife and I, my lovely wife Casey, came to Florida from Michigan. I spent my early days after college teaching school and then in law enforcement in Michigan. Moved in the early 70s to the Sarasota-Bradenton area and went to work for the Longboat Key Police Department. Had another son. I have a cracker son. I have two wonderful sons and have spent most of the time right here in Sarasota-Bradenton area with a little bit of about 3 or 4 years when the old company called Store Broadcasting was still in business, was a corporate executive with them. So in the 70s came here. I am really proud of my two sons that went to school in Sarasota County as well. My youngest son and his wife are both attorneys. They live in St. Pete. Gave me two great-grandchildren, not great-grandchildren, but great-grandchildren, two lovely young girls. And my eldest son and his wife live in St. Pete as well. He is a division manager for Bell's Corporate, and she's a financial director also from the local area, so they've stayed in the area. But very proud of what this area has done for my family, and that's why we love staying here.
What about your background in politics? What has been your involvement? When did you get involved in politics? Actually got involved seriously in politics in the mid-90s. Always was involved around being a supporter in Michigan and here in Florida, but in 1995, former County Commissioner Charlie Richards said he wasn't going to run anymore. And my wife was working for the county at the time, for John Wesley White, the county administrator. And we're walking back from lunch one day, and Charlie was a friend of mine, and I said, "Charlie, how come you're not going to run?" He says, "Well, I'm done. Why don't you give it a try?" The rest is history. I had a very tough primary with a former senator from New Jersey, beat him, and then in the general election beat the then mayor Fred Atkins of city of Sarasota. That was my real entrance into the elected field. And then later, after being county commissioner, you ran for sheriff.
Yeah, being that I had spent almost 17 years in the Sarasota County Sheriff's Department, we had a retiring sheriff, Jeff Monge, great sheriff, enjoyed working for him. So you don't have an open sheriff race very often. So we gave it a shot, made a decision at the time. People said, "Gee, I wish you would have stayed as county commissioner." Well, spilt milk. We gave it a shot, didn't work out. All things happen for a reason. I ended up working for the Peace River Water Authority in Community and Government Affairs, and it's been wonderful ever since.
Now, you ran against Bill Balkwell and Dave Gustafson, but you weren't part of this last race. What do you think about Tom Knight?
I think Tom Knight is a breath of fresh air right now. He's in his first few hundred days as well. It's having known that department well, ever since the early 70s when I started there, the trials and tribulations, the growth, he was handed a real tough job. And so far, I think he's doing great.
All right, we'll head to our first break. When we come back, we'll tackle some more of the issues with State Representative candidate Ray Pilon.